Welcome to the Car Guys and welcome to a special top 10 episode on the Ferraris that we love the most.
That's right, what we're going to do is we're going to run through probably the greatest Ferraris that have ever been built, and we're going to see whether or not we agree on some of these choices or disagree.
And also this episode is in honour of my 488 Pista Spider, which still hasn't arrived. That's right, folks. We thought it'd be quite interesting for you to find out what are the Car Guys' top 10 Ferrari. Out of all the ones that they've made across all the decades, which are the top 10 that we like the most? 5 for me, 5 for Jason.
There are literally hundreds of different choices we could have made through the years. So making top 5 or top 10, it was particularly hard.
Considering you've got like all the special race cars and the road cars, there's an awful lot of Ferraris to choose from.
Yeah, there's literally hundreds and hundreds of them. But I think we've got what is considered to be the essence of Ferrari.
Yeah, I'm hoping, I mean, it spans across sort of 5 decades. I think there's, you know, a good balance of cars in there. But before we get started, quick wristwatch check. So this week I am wearing a brand new Farer Cobb Chronograph, which I've just got. I was waiting for the orange strap to come into stock, and it finally has. So I've got my lovely summer watch here, the Farer Cobb.
Very nice, very nice. I'm actually defaulted back to just a bog standard Batman for today.
Oh.
I just love it. I keep going back to it all the time.
So before we kick off, Jason, your thoughts at the moment on Ferrari? How do you think they're doing at the moment? How excited are you by them?
I am underwhelmed at the moment by Ferrari. I think I share everyone's view, which is that there are far too many models being pushed out the door. We are beholden to marketing department and the shareholders, and some of the production numbers that we'll run through certainly in my picks. We'll see what the amount that Ferrari used to make, which is the thing that made them special in the first place. Now, pretty much anybody, you've got 30 grand as a deposit, anybody could go and buy a Ferrari.
I'm just slightly worried a bit about the direction that Ferrari's taking. I'm hoping they're going to get it back. I'm hoping there's going to be some amazing sort of special models that, you know, some halo models for us to hang on to. But there just feels like an avalanche of new cars, none of which have been delivered yet, and that they're still trying to get you to buy the next one after the one that hasn't been delivered. And it's just getting a little bit overwhelming, I think, at the moment. Perhaps because of the current situation, I think that's why this journey back down memory lane to some of their previous greats has been actually such a really cool and refreshing thing to do.
Yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed looking and researching these cars today, just getting the finer details about them. It brings back all of the reasons why we love Ferrari in the first place and why it's such an iconic brand.
And bear in mind that for the 10 choices we've got here, there's at least another 10, if not 20, amazing cars that we could have put in that we just didn't have room for.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay, let's crack on then. So this is folks, Car Guys fans, for you at last, new and exclusive just for you, we've got the TheCarGuys.TV top 10 Ferraris of all time. According to us, there is no other statistical process involved here. It's just us wetting our finger and holding it in the air and saying, I quite like this one. That is it. There's no major voting procedures gone on here.
No, this is much more of a dictatorship when it comes to picking out this list, yeah.
First one I'm going to talk about is the F355, one of the all-time great V8 Ferraris. This was my first ever Ferrari, the 355 Spider. So therefore it's got a soft spot in my heart. It's just one of those cars which I always wanted, and in 2003 I was lucky enough to actually get into one, and I've owned it ever since.
For me, it's the last pretty Ferrari that was ever made. It's the pop-up headlights, it's the very delicate lines to it, it's very feminine in the way it looks. So it is absolutely in the top 10 somewhere.
Launched in 1994, this is a 5-valve per cylinder, 3.5 litre V8 that revs to 9,000 RPM.
That's just bonkers.
Is epic. It really is. 379 brake horsepower. It can do 183 miles an hour, although not now it can't. I mean, blimey, there's no way I'm taking mine to 180 miles an hour.
that would be properly frightening.
0 to 60, 4.7 seconds, which by today isn't particularly exciting. That Audi RS3 that you drove, I think, goes faster than that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Until really the 458, it was probably the best, modern mid-engine V8. Your first pick then, Jason?
Well, see, I've gone quite old school with this. I have got a racing car in here as well because, I have to. For me, my list really is about the looks of cars. I've only actually driven one of the ones in my list, but as a kid, it was always the way that Ferraris looked more than how they would drive. So I never looked at them from a driving perspective, much more from a Athena poster on the wall kind of perspective. And one of my first cars here is a 1957 250 GT California.
The classic.
The classic car. You see, Ferris Bueller's Day Off was the first time I ever saw this car. I couldn't believe how amazing it was to look at. That bit in Ferris Bueller where they jump over the top of the camera and come down the other side. And yes, I know everyone out there that it wasn't a real 250. I know they rebodied it and it had a Chevrolet engine in it. I get all of that, but the shape of that car, just stunning. The reason why it's called California was because dealers in the US reckoned that there was a market for a soft top, open topped version of the 250 GT Berlinetta because of the Californian sunshine. They convinced Enzo Ferrari that this was a good thing, and that's how the car got produced. The California was running a V12 single cam, 260 brake horsepower. It wasn't massively fast, only 156 miles an hour. We don't talk about the 0 to 60 because that would be crass. But yeah, that car for me, perfect.
Next one for me is the 458 Speciale and the Speciale Aperta variant. I just think as a modern Ferrari, the 458 was a whole different ball game. It was so much more reliable. It had the greatest engine noise. The whole car itself was beautifully designed. To me, the 458, and I've obviously got the Italia and the Speciale, I just think it cannot be beaten as the all-round package. It's just under 600 brake horsepower, 0 to 63 seconds, so it's right up there in terms of performance. Top speed just under 200 miles an hour. So I just think when I look at those cars, the 458 platform, and people ask us questions all the time on the Car Guy, very often my answer is the 458.
Go and buy a 458, yeah. I mean, it is a good answer to should I buy a modern Ferrari? Absolutely.
So your next choice?
So my next choice is, and this comes from my love of Miami Vice, but the early seasons of Miami Vice, and that is the Daytona, or the 365 GTB, as it's actually known. What a stunning car. Pininfarina design again, shark nose, that lovely body swage down the middle, down the side of it. Oh, what a stunning looking car. 4.4 litre V12 at this point, twin cam, 352 horsepower. Now I've heard they're a bit of a barge to drive. I've never had the pleasure of driving one, but what a stunning looking car. 180 miles an hour you can do in that car.
Yeah, allegedly. I'm pretty sure the front axle lifts off the ground if you get anywhere near that sort of speed though.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
So my next choice is a 1958 250 Testa Rossa, which, I mean, honestly, this was the first car that I ever had a Barago 1/18th scale model of. It is just a magnificent V12 Ferrari, open top permanently, swoopy body, exhaust pipes wrapped around the outside of the car. It's just one of those cars that cannot be beaten in terms of just sheer sex appeal, and it's backed up with an incredible engine. And actually, for 1958, can you imagine doing 167 miles an hour in 1958?
No.
It's just
very mental. We're going to follow the TV theme here. So, oh God, this is a bit embarrassing. So 308, 328 GTS.
I know where you're going with this.
Because Magnum.
Yeah, because of Magnum.
I mean, at the beginning of Magnum, those opening titles where it just goes sideways out off that grass verge onto the road. I mean, that for me hooked.
I mean, I think it's a pretty shape. They don't drive too badly actually, but I mean they're getting on now, so you'd worry about thrashing one of those because you just don't know how long it's going to last.
How long it's going to last. But saying that, 240 brake horsepower, 5-speed is fairly rare. Only 3,000, just over 3,000 produced. So it's not, that was back in the day when Ferrari would only make 1,000 cars a year.
For me, I've got a car which has not appeared on television or influenced me at all, but James Martin has got one, and we've sort of hobnobbed with him a bit and had a look at it. So this is kind of like stuck in my memory. It's the 275 GTB4. So this again, I mean, does it get better? A 60s Ferrari that looks like this. I mean, the forerunner of the F12 TDF. I mean, this is just a sumptuous 1960s V12 Ferrari, front-engined. Just, the shape is insane on this car. 4 overhead camshafts, 6 Weber carburetors. It's a 3.3 litre V12. Produces just under 300 brake horsepower in the 60s. It's just one of those shapes. I don't think I've ever seen a bad one. I just think it's probably the best looking Ferrari ever made.
It is absolutely stunning, and like you say, that one that James Martin owns, it not only does it look incredible, but it sounds incredible as well. I'm going to go race car with this, and again, this is purely down to aesthetics and for no other reason, and that's the 330 P3 stroke P4.
Epic.
Oh my goodness! Honestly, it didn't even matter if it won any races. It wouldn't have made any difference whatsoever. I mean, it did win at Spa, it did win at Monza, but it's just a stunning thing. Top speed of 192 miles an hour. Can you imagine 192 miles an hour? It was putting out 420 brake horsepower with a weight of 850 kilos. I mean, that must have just been ridiculous. So yeah, it's a race car. You're never going to get one because they're like £11 billion.
I've got Scalextric's car of it. Does that count?
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's close. Yeah, that's close.
Last choice for me, and I agree with you. I've done it the reverse way, so we end on essentially our favourite Ferraris of all time. It is the Ferrari GTO, which is the correct name for the 288 GTO, my all-time most favourite Ferrari. No arguments. I will have one of these cars eventually, but I'll just have to sell everything else in the collection to get it.
I think that's a small price to pay. It is the ultimate Ferrari-ish, nearly.
Yeah. I'm going to end up in a small bungalow with one car garage, and inside will be a 288 GTO.
I think that's absolutely fine. I don't think anyone will have a go at you for that. I think that's perfectly acceptable in this world.
It looks like a sort of, a beefed up, bench pressed version of the sort of 308. It's got an incredible body. You've got that 2.9 litre V8 twin turbo engine. Performance wise is actually not amazing. It's quite surprising. It only does 0-60 in 4.9 seconds, which you would think a twin turbo V8 Ferrari would be an awful lot quicker than that. Obviously it's a manual. Obviously it grips like you wouldn't believe. It's got a great noise despite being a turbo car. I just love every single angle of this car, and at one point in the future, hopefully, I will get one, hopefully.
Of course you will. Of course you will. Just sell everything. That'll be fine.
And now, this is it. Now, it is Jason's best Ferrari ever.
The best Ferrari ever, and I think everybody knows exactly what I'm about to say.
Yes, they do.
And that is that the iteration of the 288 GTO is the F40.
Yes.
Of course, it's the F40. That car ruined me as a person in every way, shape or form. I've never, since that point, got in a car, other than a Talbot, I think. That's the only thing that's come close to making me as happy as a driving experience.
And as we know, I mean, only a complete idiot would have one of those and then sell it. We know this.
Yes. I think we've covered that too. I'm still not happy about it. For me, the point is when you put your foot on the floor, nothing at all happens until you hear this little whistle of the turbos as they spool up, and then literally the world stops for a brief second, and the next second you're doing 3 million miles an hour down a country lane, hanging on for dear life and screaming and thanking the Lord that you are alive.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a unique experience. It is one of the all-time greats. The body is like no other car that has ever been made and will ever be made.
It exhausts you. A 10-minute drive in it is absolutely exhausting. But that's how it should be. That's how it should be. You should not get out of your supercar after 2,000 miles and be able to have a lovely cocktail dinner. You should be able to get out of your supercar after 10 miles and literally be crawling on the ground. That's how it should be.
There you go, folks. That is our top 10 Ferraris of all time. Do you agree? Obviously you don't. What other ones have we criminally left out that definitely should have been on that list?
I'm sure you'll tell us.
Of course you are. There's loads. Where's the F50? Where's the Enzo? What's going on? Let us know what you think, and let us know what ones are in your top 10.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Let's have a really good discussion on this. Get the community involved. Let's hear your thoughts on your top 10 Ferraris.
So thanks for watching this episode on the top 10 Ferraris of all time, according to us. Please subscribe, leave comments and likes.
Don't forget to ding that notification bell for when we have another episode uploaded, and we will see you next week at the same time for another excellent Car Guys video.